Okay, good morning and welcome to Cooking with Sally J. This is Memorial Day, May 24th, and I'm getting ready to make an apple pie to take up to my daughter Crystal's for the family get-together, celebration, whatever, just family time, which is important. But I will say that I've had a rough start to my morning, and the biggest problem is me. Down in the mully grubs and I don't know, whatever, and I couldn't just seem to snap out of it. And really, to snap out of that stuff, you should immediately go to prayer, and I don't know why I always don't do that. But anyway, Bruce finally left the house, and I got my butt up off the couch and went up to my prayer room, and got down, wanted to tell God how good he is and how great he is, but no, I didn't. I just sat there and started crying and giving him all my woe is me type things. And then I apologized to him because my life is very, very blessed, and I have so much to be thankful for. But you know, when I come downstairs, the phone had been ringing, but I ignored it because I was praying. And so when I dialed the number, it happened to be the lady that does our DVDs and mailings for the church. So I went out and I said, "You called?" And she said, "Yes, I did. I had something for you." And she handed me these beautiful flowers. And it really touched my heart because, yes, she gave them to me. She was an instrument, but God knew what I needed before I even went up there to pray. And you know what? I don't deserve these flowers because my thought mode was very selfish on my own part. It wasn't, I don't know, I can't explain it, but the problem was me. It's not nothing else, it was me. And God just, in his grace and his love and his mercy, just sent somebody along to brighten my day, to bless my day and say, "Sally, it's okay, you know, I love you, you're my kid, and you're blessed." And I am very blessed, and I appreciate these flowers so much, and I just appreciate more that God knew what I needed even before I asked it, but that when I come downstairs it was so direct that he was there giving me a hug, and I do appreciate him and I do love him. So I guess the moral of that story is, don't let things just build up. Go and pray about it first, because that really does take care of things, and basically I do that. I was just in one of them moods where I didn't, but God is still wonderful and faithful. So now, let's get to making an apple pie, all right? You're gonna need flour, salt, Crisco, and very, very cold water. My water was in the refrigerator, so that's all set. So we're gonna get started. I use the recipe off the Crisco can, but I add to it, which I didn't get the eggs out. So, much as I say I don't like walking in and out of that stupid camera, I still end up doing it. You're also going to need some vinegar. Okay. Now, on the back of the Crisco can, it is a great recipe without egg and vinegar, but I like the crust with egg and vinegar in it. So we're going to start out, the can says to use 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I will use more because well, number one, I like to have enough dough left over sometimes to make a cinnamon cookie. I probably won't do that today, but I like to know that I have enough dough for rolling stuff out. And when I just follow this recipe, I find that I lack a little bit when I have to put it onto the top, and I don't like that. So we're not gonna double the recipe, but we are gonna do it and half it again. So we're gonna do 3 cups of flour. My eyes, I peeled the apples up ahead of time, and well, besides crying, and the apples had to have something on them. I rinsed them, but oh my goodness, my eyes are all bloodshot. I had to take an allergy pill. Okay, that's 3 cups of flour. Then you're going to need, it says 3/4 cups of well-chilled Crisco. So we're going to use a cup. And my Crisco's not chilled. I can't, I use the cold water. Sometimes I put ice in my water. So, okay, when you put your Crisco in your pie crust, do it in dots like you did for the biscuits because you want to incorporate it well. Okay, half of that. Laundry is almost done. I could have had a lot more done if I would have just, I didn't go to bed till midnight. My brain rushes and my body stops. That's what happens. And that's okay, so got that. And we're gonna add a teaspoon of salt. I'm not gonna half that. Oh, I never have. I'm not going to half the salt. I'm just going to do the teaspoon of salt because, like I say in most of my videos, I don't like a lot of salt and stuff. Which is funny because I love potato chips. Okay, a teaspoon of salt. And then it says 4 to 8 tablespoons of cold water. Well, I have tablespoons wise, I think I have 10 tablespoons in here, but we're not going to do that yet. So, forget that I said that. Flour and Crisco, and where'd my fork go? I had that already. Oh, it's over there. Okay. So what you're going to do with your fork, now if you have a pastry thing, I am sorry guys about the thing, but that's just what comes to my mind. If you have one of those pastry things, it looks like a half loop and da-da-da-da. I never can find one, but even if I had it, I don't know how to run it. I grew up doing this. I was never a good pie crust maker. I learned by watching people and making myself make pies so that I would learn. It's still not my favorite thing to do, but I do it. Okay, so I just use my fork to break up the Crisco into the flour, and then when I get to a certain point, when it starts to come up like little pea pods, then I put my fingers in it and I just mush it around so that it blends in real good, just like you did with the biscuits. So then, after that, you just want to incorporate it well. It's not going to be, this is what it's going to look like, okay? It's not going to be stuck together. You don't want it to be. So once you've done that, you get it 1 egg, you put it in the measuring cup, and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. I'm hoping the grandkids want to play cornhole today because I enjoy that game. Okay, so I have my egg and I have my vinegar and I put that in the pie crust, and I'm just going to blend it in there a little bit, mix it up good. And then I'm going to take my water and I'm going to just slowly incorporate it. You don't want it too wet or too sticky. The other day I made a chicken pot pie, and I did video it, but my camera shut down on me, but the crust, it came out good, but it was just a little tough, and I don't want that to happen today. So I had about 2/3 cups of water, so about 10 tablespoons, and I've got 1/4 of a cup left. I am going to need some of that. And you remember, it needs, well, you know what? I'm going to put it all in. So 10 tablespoons. And you just mix it until it starts forming a ball. And once it does that, this is really a good texture. It's nice. It's just a little bit wet. It's not too dry. It's not too wet. And that's exactly how you want it. You don't want to play with it a lot, but you do want to make sure that it holds together, okay? So this is a pretty good size piece of dough. So what I'm going to do is I just eyeball it and try to split it in half. But if one ball looks bigger than the other ball, roll out the smaller ball first, because that will go on the bottom. You want the bigger ball for the top. If they're the same size, then good for you. All right, so now we're going to move stuff aside a little bit and put a little bit of flour. You do not want a lot of flour on your surface, whatever you're using. But you do want enough so that the dough doesn't stick. Okay? All right, so I want to put it in something just in case I need it. Get my rolling pin out. Some stuff I should have had ready. Okay, I'm going to take you just want to put a little flour on your rolling pin. You don't need a ton. I guess this one looks smallest. You're going to need a pie plate. Now this one says, God smiled the day we became friends. I love this plate, and I really can't remember where I got it from. I hope who's ever watching will remind me. But I do have good friends that God has put in my life. So when I have my woe is me moments, it's really kind of stupid. And really, there's times that I'm like, you know, we sing that song, He's all I need, He's all I need, Jesus is all I need. And it's true. But why, as humans, it's not enough sometimes. You know, you need that physical. Yeah, I'm over this whole isolation thing. And I don't feel like I've been isolated all that much. I've been stuck at home, but I've seen my kids and my family, so I really do not have nothing to whine and gripe about. I guess that's what bugs me the most, that I'm such a person sometimes. But I'm glad that God still loves me no matter what I act like. And that my husband is patient with me, and yes, he deserves more than one medal. But I will say he's not perfect. He is 98% perfect. 2%, he's not. And when that 2% rises, yeah, he does a good job at that 2% sometimes. But I would not trade him for the world. Okay, now I got a really bad itch up near my eye. Oh, I'm going to have to take care of that. Now, we're going to grease our pie plate. I am not going to use cooking oil for that, because it doesn't work as well. So for the pie plate, you want to get a paper towel and some Crisco and just grease your pie plate really well. Just like that. It's greased really well. Okay, now the other thing, I was talking too much, which is typical. I want to show you about my pie crust. I rolled it up without talking to you about it first. Now, for years, this is what I did. And that was another reason why I hated making pie crust, is that I would take my dish and I would sit it over it like that. The contortions. And I would flip it over. And of course it would go in the pan, so flour would go everywhere. Yeah, it was just a big time mess. But that's the only way I knew to do it. I couldn't figure it out in my head. And we were visiting my sister-in-law Laura and brother-in-law David in New Hampshire one day, and she was making a pie, a chicken pie. And it seemed like she rolled forever and rolled forever. And I'm like, why is she rolling her pie crust so much? Maybe I don't roll my pie crust enough. I still don't know why she was rolling it. But anyway, I watched her when she went to go put it in the pie plate, and that's what interested me. And she had just taken her hands and pulled it up, but with this mat, it's a Pampered Chef mat, but you can get something similar at Walmart. She just took it and started it on her rolling pin and just slightly rolled it. She did not press firm, so it was up on her roller just like that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Then she took her pie plate and she just, loosely set part of it down and then rolled the rest out. Now look how neat that is. Why I don't know. I'm trying to think how many years ago now. It was probably 10 years ago or so when I saw this happen, and I'm like, where has she been all my life? It's like, she didn't even know she taught me something. But I'll tell you, that has been such a blessing to know that little trick. Okay, so I have the bottom of my pie crust done. So now we're gonna get our apples ready. Now I've already cut and peeled my apples. And they're in this dish. It says 6 to 8 cups. I definitely go toward the 8 cups or more. Again, I peel apples like I peel potatoes. But you want a nice full pie crust, okay? So, how we're gonna do the filling part. A lot of people will buy the can filling. That's fine. And if you're in a hurry, that's fine. But it really is much better from scratch. And again, you know what's in it. So the recipe I have is from Betty Crocker, of course. But again, I have changed it to my liking. Now there's a story again behind this. My neighbor, he's my neighbor now, he rents from us, Woody, his wife, when she passed away, that was the one thing she made him was apple pie. And so I offered to make him an apple pie, and he said, oh, well, nobody can make an apple pie like Donna. Well, you know what? When people do that to me, I'm like, I bet I can prove you wrong. And I said, well, why don't you just give me a chance? And so he said, well, I like it sweet. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to make you one. If you don't like it, that's fine. And he is picky, believe me. So this is my version, and he said my pie was every bit as good as his wife's. So that made me happy. So this calls for a half a cup of sugar, and I do not do that. I do 3/4 cups of sugar. I was tempted to do a cup, but a cup's a bit much. So I do 3/4. 3/4 cups of sugar. And then it says 1/4 cup of flour. I do a little bit more flour, but I would not do a half a cup. So probably 1/3. I would do 1/3 cup of flour. Yeah, 1/3 cup of flour is lots. You just need it to absorb any of the wet from the sugar. Then it says 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. I kind of stick to that. You don't want to go overboard with that stuff. Okay, 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Well, I told you to buy me just going to do allspice. And you can use allspice for, if it calls for nutmeg and you don't have it, allspice is perfectly fine. Okay. And then a dash of salt. So a dash means like probably 1/8 of a teaspoon. So the only thing I really changed in the recipe is the amount of sugar. So then, get in your hands. Just mix those apples up really, really good so that all of the mixture is on top of the apples. Okay. Then you're just going to take and put your apples in your pie plate. It's going to make a full pie because I have probably, well, it's a full 8 cups. Well, come on. Okay. All right. So then, this step, half the time I get the pie crust back on it and realize, oh, I forgot to do that. But you need a couple of tablespoons of margarine or butter, whatever your preference is. Doesn't matter. And you're just going to dot it on top of your apples. Like this. You just want to, do it evenly around. This gives it the grease and stuff that it needs. Okay, now we're going to do the top. Now the top, you're gonna roll it out the same, but I have a little gadget that I'm going to show you that I love. We were visiting an Amish community, and I found this, and I am about hearts. I love hearts. Just represents a lot of things, and my dad is a heart. Anything he made in wood crafts or anything, he always put a heart on it. And I have a granddaughter, Miracle. She's just like it too. It's just in us. I'm going to move this to the side a little bit. I'm going to get the other pie crust. A little flour. You know what I love about camp meeting cooking is I get somebody doing my dishes. It's like, that's the thing about cooking, is like all these dishes, I could be doing something else besides dishes. Okay, so you're going to roll out your top the same, and you want to make sure you get a lot because it's got to go over the top of it. This crust came out so good. I'm so tickled with it. Again, I love that you guys are trying my recipes. Somebody just posted yesterday, they made the homemade pizza and said it was hands down the best pizza their family made. And it tickled me. I'm just so grateful that you're trying stuff. All right, so I've got that rolled out. And again, I'm just going to roll that up on my roller. But if you don't have a pad like that, I'm just going to show you. You can just use your fingers and just do not press. You do not want it to stick together. Okay? And I'm gonna, oh wait, I don't want to do that yet. So I want to show you my little thing. I'm thinking too much because I was going to show you the other way too, but I'll talk to you about it. I didn't want to make 2 pies. So you just press it down like a cookie cutter. It's important for stuff like pies. anything with berries and things like that in it that you, or even meat pies, they need air to escape through the crust. So that's why it's important that they have some airways. And these little hearts give it plenty of room to have airways. I'm just going to put it over the top, like this. Get that over so I can work with it. Okay, then I'm just going to pinch the sides in a circular motion like that. And then I'm going to, there's a lot of crust here, so I am going to cut some of that off. But before I do that, I'm just going to go around with my fingers, and then to your fingers. You can take a fork and press it down too, but this makes it prettier. So 2 of your fingers, press down hard, and in the middle, push your thumb in. So you just put your 2 fingers down, and then in the middle of your 2 fingers, press on the dough and just push it in, and it makes a little scallop, but it still leaves crust on the edge of your plate. Okay? So once you get used to that, you just press firm, because you want the two pieces of crust to seal. Oh, it's weird to have my house so quiet on a Monday. Little Munchkin her mom doesn't have to work today, or her dad. She's with them. Okay, so then you can just, as long as it's tight, I would go around one more time pressing and get the rest of that dough off. My mom always used to use a knife and cut it off, but this works just as well. And again, you need to just relax with your cooking. If you think, oh, this is going to be too hard, or I can never do it, you won't. You won't ever do it. It's not that hard. You just have to get comfortable with yourself and trust yourself enough, and find a recipe you really like. Now I am going to make the cinnamon cookies, because I got plenty of dough to do that and to show you with this. So that's great. I'm glad I can do that. So now the little hearts that are on this, I'm just going to move aside a little bit. Some of them, just so that I know air is coming through. And the big one, just off to the side, because it just needs air. Okay? Alright. That came out so pretty. So my oven is on 400. The other thing that's important to have, either line your oven with another baking sheet, or I just want to show you. It's one of those silicone baking sheets. These are great. Things just wipe right off of them. But you need to protect because it will bubble and you will get stuff in your oven. So you need to make sure either a baking sheet. The other thing, if you use a baking sheet, you need to have a little bit of water in the bottom of it, because if you don't, it's going to warp your pan. That's why I like those silicone things. So the oven is on 400, and we're just going to stick our pie right in. And the book says 425, but I'm not going that high with it. Says bake 40 to 50 minutes. So at 400, I would probably go the 50 minutes. The one thing I forgot to put on it was a pie plate shield. This is important to use on top of your pie crust so that the edges don't burn. You just set that right over, it just sits right over the top. Okay, so that's in the oven, and I'm going to show you how to make cinnamon cookies. We made cinnamon roll biscuits. These are cinnamon cookies. Now the other day when I tried to make the crust and made them, they weren't cinnamony enough, sugary enough, so we'll add some sugar to the cinnamon and sugar. good. That's another reason why I don't make pies much, because I like these stupid cookies too much, and they're like addicting. Every time I walk by them, I gotta pop one in my mouth. Not good. I do not know what was on those apples, but it's really... Okay. So we got it rolled out. It's not perfect. But you know what I say about perfect. Okay, and again, I need 1 to 1.5, 2 tablespoons of margarine, soft, so you can just rub it on your pie crust. Okay, now I do have some cinnamon and sugar mixed up, but I'm not using it because there's not enough. I'm tasting too much cinnamon, so I'm just going to do this my own way, by hand. I do it better by eyeballing it, because I like the cinnamon and sugar part of it. I just like to taste the sugar if I'm going to have sugar. All right. You're going to just take your cinnamon. Now you always need more sugar to outweigh this, because cinnamon has a lot of power. So you're just going to sprinkle your cinnamon over the top of your crust, like that. Doesn't need to be real thick, okay? Then you're going to just take your flour. Not your flour, your sugar. And that you can be liberal with. And you will lose some. Okay, then you're just going to mix it together, kind of. You know, you just twirl it, swirl it, do whatever. Have fun. And then you're going to roll it toward yourself, just like this. Just like you would the cinnamon rolls. Okay? Then you got it like that. And you're going to take your knife, and you're just going to cut them, I would say, 1.5 inches. And see, you're not wasting any dough. You're getting a cookie out of it. Mom always did this when we were kids, and that was like it was just like a treat. And just because I don't want to get a baking pan, I'm just going to Crisco my skillet. And I'm just going to set these right in it. And I'm going to set them right in the oven with the apple pie, but they'll be done in like, 8 to 10 minutes. It doesn't take these long. Okay. So out of the leftover dough, I got 3, 6, 9, 12. I got a dozen cinnamon roll cookies. So we're just going to stick them right in the oven with the pie. There's room right on the same shelf. They're not going to be in there that long. And we will be back in a minute to show you those. Okay, we are back, and we've taken the cookies out of the oven, and I'm just going to show you. I was going to bring the camera over, but it's hooked up to a battery, so I guess I won't. They need to cool. This is what they look like. Ouch, it's hot. Okay, I'm just going to sit them on this to cool off. Let's see if I can get one up with a knife just to give you... Can't see on the side of the camera what's really going on. So, just, they look like a cinnamon roll, but they're a cookie. And they are good. Hi. Welcome back. Now, I had already videoed this part about the pie coming out of the oven, and it really did look kind of nice because that was bubbling right there and all that. It took a good 60 minutes, okay, at 400. I need to back up a little bit. I videoed it, and I don't know what I was doing, but I lost the video of this part. So anyway, I just want to tell you, it took a good 60 minutes in a 400-degree oven, but as you can see, it's just got a really nice color to it, and it looks good. Now, the other thing that I did not do, the recipe said to take 2 tablespoons of water and brush it over the crust, and then sprinkle a little bit of sugar over that before baking. I don't do that, mainly because I can't be bothered, and the other reason is it adds more calories that you don't need because it's already got quite a bit of sugar in it. The other option also is to mix 2 egg whites together and a little bit of water and brush that over the top, and that just kind of gives it a nice little glaze look. If you like that, again, I don't have whatever to be bothered with that, so I don't do it. Maybe it'll make it look prettier. Who cares? You're going to eat the thing, right? So if you want to do those things, knock yourself out. That's all. It'll look better than mine, and that's okay. So I may have another picture at the end, but I thank you for taking time to listen to my instructions on baking an apple pie. I hope you try it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, and God bless, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day. Oh, yeah. Hit subscribe if you haven't. I have quite a few videos up there right now on YouTube. And all the recipes, the full recipes, are on my Facebook page, Cooking with Sally J. If you want to go over there, and you'll find everything else that you need over there. And always write me if you want to know something, or just share what you did with your Memorial Day. That would be great. And thank you for making my recipes. I love that people were making the pizza and the rolls and all that stuff. Have a great day. Bye.